welcome once again to Living in the 21st Century. Joining me this morning is Vasyl Chapchenko, former Transportation Minister of Ukraine. Vasyl, as usual, it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for your invitation, for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, so here in Ukraine, the latest comments coming from Zelensky's mouth is that he had warned European allies not to lose focus on Ukraine's war because of Iran and United States and Israel was all at war. And obviously you can see where vision can become somewhat deviated from what it normally should be looking at. What do you think was going on there with Zelensky's mind at this point?
Now he is trying to cooperate and to visit European Union and partners in the Middle East who's ready to cooperate with Ukraine, because Ukraine is looking for partners for surviving and for cooperation, because you know that as a result of this war, Ukraine has received a lot of experience from this struggling, and now we can defend our country. Very often we can see that our forces are attacking Russia's troops, and last report I saw from Commander-in-Chief that Ukraine forces have managed to liberate 40 square kilometers in the eastern part of Ukraine. And it means that we have chances to suspend this so-called special operation. They are demonstrating that they are ready to go further, but nobody knows what will happen. Now we can see that Ukraine forces are strong enough to defend and to suspend their movement or to take back territory which was lost before. And in this case we can see that only weakening Russia Federation can help us to stop this war or to count on ceasefire agreement, peace deal. And for this reason, Ukraine forces have started launching and hitting Russia's refinery, Russia's critical infrastructure for military sphere, just to prevent producing weapons, to prevent producing oil, to prevent producing bombs, artillery, aircraft, etc., because they have a lot of different producing chains, and Ukraine forces have managed to do it as a result of hitting their air defense system. You know that Russia has huge territory, but this territory is not defended from the sky. And at the battlefield, Ukraine forces have eliminated many air defense systems from Russia's side, and now it helps us to launch produced in Ukraine drones. And you know that in the match, Ukraine forces have launched, the defense forces have launched more drones to Russia Federation than Russia launched to Ukraine to destroy our infrastructure. But the Ukraine forces are targeting the military infrastructure or infrastructure which is involved in military sphere of Russia Federation. But Russians are hitting residential area in Ukraine. You know that they are hitting different cities in Ukraine, including cities which are located close to the border with Poland. And now they are launching during around the clock, and around the clock they can launch up to 1,000 missiles, drones, bombs, etc. And it's quite difficult to repel. But nevertheless, Ukraine forces have managed to intercept and to shut down more than 95%. It's a big number and high effectiveness for this reason.
That's a great accomplishment. I understood also that 4 oil refineries in Crimea was destroyed. Crimea was once a territory of the Ukrainians. Am I correct? That Russia held on to? Right.
Yeah. You know that Russians started fighting with Ukraine in 2014. Those times they annexed this peninsula just in the time when pro-Russian president fled from Ukraine and parliament didn't appoint acting president, fulfilling president work. And in this time when authorities were not formed immediately after running, Russians occupied this peninsula, and you know that before this peninsula was under huge propaganda, and now we can see that people who were interested in cooperation with Russia received Russia's have received a lot of humiliation from Russia's executive bodies, which came to Crimea, and now they have no choice, and most of Crimeans were drafted without any limits and were sent to the battlefield to Ukraine. And people who's living in those places have no rights for expressing their opinion. And because of it, it's turned into the industrial hub, which is producing oil just for refinery oil for fuel, for resident and for export, and for providing military forces of Russia Federation. And because of it, they official its points are officially military infrastructure, and Ukraine's forces are hitting them.
So since 2014, when this war would have started in Crimea, did Putin legitimately own that territory, or he just was illegitimately hanging on to this territory of Crimea?
We cannot say that they have any limits for example, turning into Russia's territory, Ukraine's territory, which were illegally captured. For example, you know that they have implemented for Ukraine's regions to their constitution, and now they are commenting that they cannot allow Ukraine to have their territory. But you know that this territory is Ukrainian territory, but they did it illegally because Russia has no any parliament, and parliament it's fulfilling unit which will follow any recommendation from their top official, and they are following the idea that if they have implemented in constitution, it's there, but world society knows that it's Ukraine, and it's Crimea is Ukraine, and this territory belongs Ukraine, and temporarily is occupied by Russia Federation. The same situation with a part of Ukraine bordering with the Russia Federation. They have managed to capture wasting soldiers' life because they have no reason to move, and you know that they have hired many mercenaries and people who depends on Russia's power and send them to fight, and they have been killed in this war. And now we can see that in this case they are not ready to acknowledge it, because for them they named it special operation, and they are sending their newly drafted soldiers to die at this so-called operation. But we know, and world society knows that it's most biggest war since the Second World War, because we can see that millions army is fighting each other, and a lot of resources have been spent, and Russia, which has a lot of natural resources, has wasted for killing Ukrainians, and Ukrainians have to defend. We have to defend our territory and our country, and it's a reason why we have to defend our territory, because you know that we can see what has happened at the occupied territory. They are destroying this territory fully, and we can see that the same thing will happen in Ukraine. And you know that we have a lot of evidence their cruelty. For example, they are killing, they are torturing. You know that they are holding in custody Ukrainian soldiers without food, and it's humiliation and type of torture. You know, and thousand soldiers who's not they are not interested in exchanging them for Russia's prisoner, because Ukraine forces have captured many Russian soldiers which is in custody in Ukraine, and they are not interested in exchanging because they want to demonstrate their domination, humiliating the soldiers.
Zelensky also mentioned, I think this morning or last night, that Russia do not deserve sanctions being lifted after last night overnight killing of civilians. So I believe that he had beat his bombing, and several civilians got killed last night in deadly attacks. You got any idea about that? Yeah.
You know that their tactics is based on killing civilian, military, elderly, children. Their strategy based on waging war which has no rights and limits. Because of it, we can see their army that it is not, which has nothing common with country, with developed country's army. It's similar to armies from the past, maybe, and you know that they were stealing different things when they were trying to occupy Ukraine. They were stealing different cars, different values, and they could send it. They were sending it to Russia Federation, to their families, because they have know it in one from the richest for natural resources country, and people who is interested in making money at war, and we can see that their strategy hasn't changed, and they are not interested, and we can see that they are trying to restore world relations, and they are trying to demonstrate that they are fighting right way, and they are using their propaganda, because the same situation with Russia's media, for example, when Western media is repeating any information from the Russia, they are immediately involved in spreading Russia's propaganda, because Russia has no any actual news. It's only propaganda which is prepared specially prepared specialists. They have nothing common with the journalists. They are spending lie, and this lie is getting to different capitals from around the globe, and because of it, people cannot understand how to treat to it, and because of it, we can see that their tactics is based on lie, and their army is based on lie.
Okay. When Zelensky made the appeal not to lift sanctions off of Russia, which country or countries were he referring to at that point? You got an idea?
Yeah, and it seems to me he tries to attract attention to this huge problem, because Russia is threatening not only Ukraine, and Russia is threatening Europe. Russia has destroyed world order. Russia has destroyed markets. They have launched a lot of problems around the globe. They have started supporting regimes which were based at the humiliation people. They build relations with Iran, and they were supporting Iran, and they are supporting now it, and are providing not only military, but they are providing Iran intelligent information, and they have sent a lot of information about military base, including United States base, embassy, etc. And because of it, Ukraine's president is trying to explain it, but very often this conflict with Hormuz Strait have launched a lot of challenges for different countries around the globe concerning prices for energy resources, and we can see that these autocratic countries and regimes are trying to use different instruments, including world trade. And but we know that many countries were involved in this business, and having negotiations with this kind of countries, Russia, Iran, we can see that it's type of funding their development, their future, their action against their neighbors, and because of it, after destroying world order, when they have in United Nations, they have received in United Nations veto, they are abusing it, and they have vetoed many documents concerning United Nations decision concerning this war and conflict around the globe. And it seems to me it's a challenge for world society and developed countries.
Right. I want to ask this question because I can't speak factually to this, or I can't, and I'm speaking subject to correction on this one. But I heard that the United States were to lift sanctions off of Russia for at least 1 month. Should that happen, what positive impact would that have on Russia? And what negative impact would that have on Ukraine?
Sanctions for Russia Federation, it's instruments to prevent their action, but we know that they are breaking any sanctions, continuing cooperation with China and India, because these countries are involved in buying their resources illegally, and it cannot be stopped without serious changes in the world society. And this sanction will not Russia Federation to have a lot of money, because these countries are going down prices from Russia's Federation, but nevertheless Russia will have extra instrument from these deals to build military and to hire new mercenaries and to send it to Ukraine to kill Ukrainians, and they are trying to do it, and they are wasting money for this war. You know that officially they have directed more than 40% their budget money for waging war, for military sphere, and it's only officially, and unofficially we can suspect that they will add extra from 10 to 20%. It means that their economy is militarized enough to wage war against any partners, and all these countries is slowly turning into industrial ground place for waging war, and money for this sphere is they receive from two partners, India and China. And we can see that at the brink of prices, they received good chances to sell liquid gas. They are mining it at the north part of Russia Federation, and Russia doesn't have any company which is not involved in this sphere, because you know that they have changed this energy sphere, and most of this company are under state influence, and all these companies' budget are focusing on building private military sphere and sending them to the military forces as the mercenaries, and it's their duty, and they are redirecting money. And you know that they have built a so-called shadow fleet, and this fleet is transporting illegally oil, and very often they are trying to campaign it by accompanied by military ships, and European country has no rights, because they are trying to follow the order according to whom all straits have to be open, because international trade demands having every strait around the globe opened. And if any country is breaking it, it's immediately is destroying international law, which is now. Sorry.
Quickly, I want to answer this question, Vasyl, because we are down to the last 4 minutes. Do you see the United States-Iran war has any hindrance to the energy industry surrounding the European allies or nations?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge, because you know that the European Union had 65-70% root oil from this place, and because of it, after closing by Iran this strait, they didn't have extra fuel, and appeared information that flight will be suspended or will be limited, and that the European Union has fuel for passenger aircraft only for 6 weeks, 1.5 months, and now we can see that they are looking for new sources, because you know that the world has enough oil, because before the war we saw that prices for oil were going down, and it means that mining oil is more than we have the market's demands. And you know that economy in China was cooling, and world economy was slowly hindering, and prices for oil were going down. And after this blocking, prices for oil immediately have spiked, and now we can see that prices for oil have doubled at least, and nobody knows how much will we have. But I'm sure that world economy will solve this question, because it is not the first time, and now we can see that many countries are depending on fuel, and it seems to me it will help to encourage different sources of information, because you know that fuel is challenging moment, but we have alternative. But nevertheless, it must be stressed, and it has happened, and now we can see that prices for oil is going down again. Now today in the morning I saw that it's within 80 United States dollar for a barrel. It's lower, 20% lower than it was a few days before.